don't ask me how my day was. It's been a rough day for me. All right. I'm a bit dramatic, but it's been a rough day for me. We've been working on a quick glance for the Robert Whitaker versus Hamza Chimaev fight, and it was announced today, right before I posted it, probably a few minutes before I posted it, that Hamza Chimaev was off. My script writer texted me while the video was actually being checked by YouTube for copyrights and stuff like that. I was just waiting for it to be cleared so I can post it. And he texted me saying the fight was off. And I went to my Instagram, looked at the post and stuff, and nothing was on there. So I was like, he's just capping, looking like Wikipedia or something. I was like, it's all cap. It's nothing for real. But I think his website, I think he looks it up on like SureDog or whatever. His sites is actually valid, and they're faster than like Instagram posts and stuff like that, because a minute or two later I updated my Instagram and it was out. So I was like, fuck, because I was trying to post the video like, even if I knew that there was a rumor he was out, I was like, I could still post it and be like, oh well, I posted it before, guys, you can't be mad at me, you know what I mean? But then it was out everywhere, and I was like, bro, at this point the video is right there. If you guys don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it, but I have to post it just so I don't feel like we just wasted hours and hours of effort and energy on something just going to waste. So I still posted it, but obviously there's a sweet feeling. A lot of people, were engaging with the video because the Chimaev fight was off. And, my writer, he told me, he was like, oh, it's okay because because of the hype and the fact that Chimaev is out, people are going to click more on it. But realistically, it's not good for audience retention because people are not going to watch a whole video about a fight that's not happening usually. So it's a bit of a blow to the performance of the video. All in all, it's not doing so bad, but it's definitely a bit bittersweet, right? So, I guess we move on from that. Shit like that happen. It's the UFC. It's not the NBA or any other sport. It's unpredictable as it gets. And, I kind of wanted to start the video by saying this, just like working with the UFC as a whole, like covering the UFC is so hectic because, anything can happen at any given time. It's very difficult to prepare for something and like put everything on one thing, like, because, anything can change, from here to tomorrow. Sometimes we try to predict what's going to happen into a fight so we can prepare like the next stuff, but every single time it always backfires. Like, we were supposed to work on a before and after on Piotr Jan when he fought for the title at UFC 273 against Sterling, right? He was supposed to win that fight. And I remember being like, he's going to win that fight. Let's just do the before and after, start writing it before so we have it ready as soon as he wins. Just add in the extra segment and get it out. And obviously he loses, and we had the same before and after ready to go before his Sean O'Malley fight, and then he ended up losing. Probably not, but on paper he lost. So yeah, I just remember these occasions, and obviously fight canceling and stuff like that. I remember it was probably UFC 294. We did a updated deeper dive because Charles was out, Paulo Costa was out. So I mean, it happens. It definitely always sucks, but for this month to happen back to back, because this is what happened, back to back. Now Conor is out. We knew he was out, but I was hoping maybe it would, take enough time. Like maybe he was out like in a week, right, the week before the event, so I could have time to post the deeper dive that we've been working on. But obviously it didn't happen, and they found a replacement. Like I said, we knew he was out, but there was still some hope, and it was a big video, a big deeper dive. We invested a lot of time in it, so personally it definitely sucks. And to have it back to back, like two back to back big fights just fall out, oh, it sucks so much because, like I said, it's like the type of video I make on the main channel is not like very like instant reaction type of channel. Like you look at a guy like MMA Guru or The Weasel or Lucas Tracy or I don't know who else, Joey, MMA Joey, or Bedtime MMA. There's a lot of guys, right? They make, well, maybe not Bedtime. Bedtime makes more like the list videos, but he can still do like reaction videos, and he probably should, because that's where you get most of like the interest from fans. But what I think is, like, when you have that type of channel, you can cover pretty much anything at any given time, right? You can record a video. I'm recording this and it's going to be uploaded in an hour, right? 30 minutes. There's no preparation. It's very simple. But the main channel is not like the fighting business is not about that. It takes much more time and effort into each one of, obviously script writing takes a long time, editing, figuring out the story, finalizing everything, finding the music. I could go all in all, but I can go all day talking about how long these videos takes. It's not the end of the world, but I just cannot cover a video or cover a news that happened like today and have the video uploaded by the end of the day or by tomorrow. It's just not how it works. So sometimes it sucks because I wish I were able to cover I wish I was able to cover more stuff, more news, but unfortunately I have to pick the right things to cover and choose the right timing as well, because if something happens now in 3, 4, 5 days, it might not be as engaging. So I have to think I make a video that is still going to be interesting in 5 days, because that's when the video is going to be uploaded. And sometimes my plans get screwed along the way, and that's just, what happens. But obviously I have a channel here where I can do these, where I can just post more like reaction type of videos to news and stuff that happens. But I'm just a lazy piece of shit and I like to complain. But obviously the main channel is where I work the most, is where I put most of my time and energy, and like it's my priority right now. And sometimes it definitely sucks having to deal with like what happens with the UFC. But like I said, we just roll with the punches. It is what it is. You can look at the positive side. I mean, the card is insane. It's arguably better than what it was, right? McGregor Chandler is great in terms of hype and like, engagement and interest from casuals, but even hardcore, we're all going to be hyped to watch, Conor fight. But it's Michael Chandler, dude. It's like, not to shit on it, but I said it before, like it felt like when the fight was announced, not many people were as engaged as I thought it was. And I think it's for a good reason. There were so many good matchups for Conor. Michael Chandler is a decent guy. He's going to be a fun scrap, but it's just not like the hype. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just complaining, but I feel like there was so many other cool matchups that would have like hyped up the fight with Conor much better. A guy like Colby, even though the fight would have been probably a bit more boring, but I don't know, maybe I'm just complaining. All in all, Alex Pereira Prohaska is amazing too. Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez, amazing. Anthony Smith, Carlos Ulberg, kind of mid, but it's still pretty good. Like as a third fight on the pay-per-view card, and they pulling this off in like 17 days, 16 days. So shout out to the UFC for pulling off these buzzer beaters after buzzer beaters, because it seems like they were. What's going on? Am I lagging? No, I'm not lagging too much. It seems like, yeah, they were down and out. It seems like they were about to get knocked out, but they came back. Didn't blew their 3-1 lead, because this is a decent pay-per-view. All right, this is something that people are going to be hyped to watch actually. And again, Alex Pereira comes in and saves the day, because I mean it's back to back savings for Pereira. I remember UFC 295, if I remember correctly. Was he on the card? Because it was John Jones versus Miocic, and I think it was Pavlovich versus Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall. No, I'm lying. I think it was Pereira versus Prohaska as the co-main, and then they added Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall as the co-main after. So I think he was already on there, but he was promoted to the main event of UFC 295 like a few weeks before. And then for 300, they didn't have a main event until as well a few weeks before the fight, like maybe 4 weeks. And then they called him out and he showed up and yeah, just took the fight on a few weeks notice. And then again now, like the fight falls off, they add in Pereira. Pereira is just the old reliable fighter that just takes fight and isn't afraid of being like active and taking risk. And it's insane. He must make a shit ton of money in the past 3 years, because the fights he took, obviously he became a champion, so you get even more money from it. So I mean, shout out to Pereira. He's changed completely his life and his legacy as a fighter now in such a short amount of time. It's actually crazy to see. And I mean, we don't really get tired of watching Pereira fight, to be honest. If it was like like a Aljamain Sterling fight, even though we all love Aljamain Sterling. But if it was Aljamain Sterling fighting every 3 months, at one point we'd be like, all right, we've had enough of this guy. Give us somebody else. But Pereira's always fun to watch, and obviously against Prohaska as well. It's a dog fight, and it's it's like almost not the type of fight where you need that much preparation for, just because they're two strikers, two powerful strikers that you just, it's a game of inches, and you just need to find your shot before he finds his, basically, right? When you look at Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez, this is more of a technical fight. Guys are different in different areas of mixed martial arts, so preparation comes into play, and I feel like it affects, obviously, for Pereira Prohaska, it affects as well with like cardio and maybe timing and stuff like that, reflexes. But all in all, when they're fighters and they've been fighters for so long, they know what to do. And two strikers, it's just about finding the chin, right? It's about finding the shot and staying in there. And they're both taking the fights on short notice, so it's not like there's excuses on either side. So shout out to them. And Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez as well, an amazing fight. It's gonna be fun. I'm happy Ortega took that fight, because I feel like he beat Lopez. No, he beat Ortega. I feel like he had some like he could have played it like annoying, like played it hard, like, I'll just take up the rankings, or like I'm just fighting for the championship or whatever, try to Colby Covington route or something. But he didn't. He's taking a risky fight against Diego Lopez, a very dangerous guy, well-rounded guy. So shout out to Ortega as well for taking that fight on short notice. Respect. And Anthony Smith, Carlos Ulberg, mid-fight, like I said, but decent. I mean, Jamal Hill pulling out, I'm not saying anything. I don't want to be mean. But after all that yapping, you pull out. And Pereira's on the card. Damn, I feel like that was the opportunity of a lifetime. I feel like that's what he was waiting for, Jamal Hill, you know? Being on the card, being able to hype up a future potential rematch against Prohaska, against Pereira. Seems like that's what he's been trying to do in the past few weeks, right? Like yap his way into a rematch and like be delusional and cope his way into trying to like get people riled up, and like, we just want to see this guy knocked out again. So they give him the rematch, but he pulls out, probably, most likely. He has a knee injury, most likely. He's not afraid of Pereira, right? They're fighters. They're not afraid, boys. Let's not do that. But it's definitely a wasted opportunity for Jamal Hill. And at this point, I feel like there's no room for yapping. Maybe there is. I mean, there's always room for yapping. But, I mean, yeah, people are going to laugh at you very hard after this. You're going to turn into like Dylan Danish or something. So, yeah, all in all, very great card. Shout out to the UFC for pulling it off. Shout out to Alex Pereira for taking the fight. And I mean, everybody that took the fight on this short of a notice. You guys save the UFC, and hopefully you get paid a shit ton of money for it. And yeah, for me personally, it sucks, but who cares? Who cares about my problems? Who gives a fuck? We just move on. And yeah, I have this channel now. I'll try to, use this platform more often, because like I said, the main channel is one thing, and this is a great channel where I can just be more active, post reaction stuff when things like this happen. Like, some of the videos on the main channel might take a blow, but I could use these news and stuff like that to make videos on here. And yeah, talking about it, I'm thinking about starting streaming for fight nights that are great, obviously, in pay-per-views. Probably not the whole entire card. I'm not streaming for 8 hours. Forget about that. But the main cards of pay-per-views, it might be fun. And yeah, probably like some good fight nights. I'm thinking of starting it for Whitaker and Aliskerov, even though it's not the most hyped up fight. It's still a foot in the door for me, so it'll be a good start. I'll figure out how streaming works, and if you guys are available and free, come figure it out. Come find and find out, how I'm working out the streaming system and supporting and yeah, watching the fights with me. So yeah, I'm letting you know, guys, right now. I'm most likely gonna do it if I'm not a bitch. If I'm not flaky, all right. So, yeah, I'll probably post some stuff on the main channel and like make you guys, give some updates when it happens. But I'm thinking about doing it, and it should be very fun. And yeah, if anything, I feel like the interviews with Yuri Prohaska as well, that's unedited versions on the Patreon if you guys want to see. If you guys didn't know, I have interviewed a few fighters now, so go check it out on the Patreon. Some fun stuff. But Prohaska seems like he's been wanting to have that rematch, and he truly believes that he can beat Pereira. That's what he talked about in the interview I did with him. I remember he talked about it like, it seems like he was real genuine about it. You know, obviously some of these fighters, they're all a bit delusional, but he seemed genuine. When you believe in it, you know, it makes the fan want to like rally behind you, because that first fight against Pereira, Prohaska had a lot of great moments in there. So, you know, you can't count him out so fast. I think it's going to be a dogfight, and I'm very hyped up to see it. So let me know what your thoughts about it. If you think 303 is, you know, better now than it was before, you know, it's tough because Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor, it's hyped up. It's a hyped up fight, but it's still too like unranked fighter almost. You know what I mean? Two unranked fighters fighting as the main event. That's what it is realistically, right? This is championship level mixed martial arts, so it's obviously not the same hype and interest probably from casual fans and stuff like that. First Stake is maybe not going to cover this card, but as a hardcore fan, I'm very hyped up. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll just leave you guys. I have to go to sleep. Peace out, boys. Take care. Remember I stream. If I don't post more videos until next week, hopefully I will. But if I don't remember to come vibe with me on the streams, because I definitely will. Maybe not. Maybe I will. Probably will.